Lebanon has banned walkie-talkies and pagers from all flights out of the country's only commercial airport, still currently in operation. That move comes after explosions were triggered in pagers and in walkie-talkies used by Hezbollah, the militant group. The attacks killed at least 32 people and have injured thousands. Israel has not so far confirmed that it was behind the attacks, but it is widely assumed to be, and its Defence Minister Yoav Gallant has said it is now opening a new phase in the war. These are pictures from the Israeli military, which says it hit Hezbollah infrastructure in an overnight attack across the border. It says it carried out airstrikes on 7 targets in southern Israel. Israeli media are reporting at least 5 civilians have been injured in a Hezbollah rocket attack. Well, the United States says it's involved in intensive diplomatic efforts to prevent the conflict escalating any further. The leader of Hezbollah, meanwhile, which some Western states have designated a terrorist organisation, is expected to address the events of the last couple of days in a speech in a few hours' time. Our correspondent Simon Jones has this report.
A funeral in southern Lebanon is about to be interrupted. An explosion injuring a Hezbollah soldier, causing panic and fear. In Beirut, another blast caused by a walkie-talkie, a new form of technological warfare. Scene 2 at this mobile phone shop in the city of Sidon, where several devices went off. Communication weaponized. On Tuesday, it was pagers used by Hezbollah that were exploding, old-school technology that the group turned to recently because it feared its mobile phones could be tracked. But it's thought the supply of pagers was intercepted and tiny amounts of high explosive hidden inside. Among the dead were 2 children. Hezbollah has blamed Israel. It hasn't commented, but Israel's defence minister has said this.
I believe that we are at the start of a new phase in the war and we must adapt. The centre of gravity is moving towards the north. This means that we are diverting forces, resources and energy towards the north.
Israel has released this footage of its troops training near the Lebanese border. A second division of the army has moved to the area, leading to growing fears of all-out war. Hezbollah, backed by Iran, has been trading fire with Israel across the border since last October. Hezbollah's leader is due to give a speech today in which he may indicate what the group will do next. The US is urging restraint.
We want to see the war end. And everything we've been doing since the beginning has been designed to prevent the conflict from escalating. We still believe, for instance, that there is a diplomatic path forward, that particularly up near Lebanon.
In Beirut, the security forces carry out a controlled explosion on a pager outside a hospital. All devices are seen as a potential threat. A diplomatic path to peace won't be easy to tread. Simon Jones, BBC News.
Well, let's talk about these attacks in Lebanon. Joining me now is the founding prosecutor for the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo. Thank you very much for being with us. What would you say about the legality of these attacks in terms of international law?
Well, there are 2 aspects. Because it's a new technology, we are facing new technology. And one aspect is who were killed. If the kill were enemy combatants, it's not the war crime. But if the killing was against individuals who are not involved in war actions, then it's a war crime. So we don't know enough to know. We need to know who were the target. It's one aspect. A second aspect is that will create responsibility for the companies providing technology. Example, in the US, Cisco company is charged because it was helping China to do a device to monitor people. So I don't know who was providing the technology for these new attacks, but the companies involved could be sued in the US or in the European Union. It's a new law, Cyber Resilience Act, that could prevent these companies to sell their products in Europe. And the other aspect, so it could be a war crime, but it could be a crime of war, a crime of aggression, because Israel is conducting military operations in Lebanon, a foreign country. So that is a crime of aggression. So how we analyze that point is we are missing that point. And the problem with the crime of aggression is normally escalate. So behind Hezbollah is Iran. So how far are we with Iran war? And for me, fascinating, it's depressing, but people expect that Iran retaliates. And I think Israel is provoking Iran. People expect Iran retaliating. New York Times say why Iran did not retaliate yet. So we are the border of the full war with Iran.
Can I ask you, the British barrister Sir Geoffrey Nice has said the United Nations probably should refer these attacks in Lebanon to the International Criminal Court. Would you agree with that?
Well, the US, look, already the International Criminal Court indicted or requested the indictment. So the prosecutor requests indictment against Prime Minister Netanyahu and Mr. Gallant. One indictment is enough. So the judges will decide. I don't think it's a matter of having more indictment. I agree with Jeffrey that it's important. The problem is the US, who is saying it's trying to prevent, in fact, it's protecting Israel at the Security Council. It's protecting Israel before the International Criminal Court. It filed presentation to stop the case before the International Criminal Court. So it's true. Israel is trying to, US is trying to avoid a full war between Iran and Israel. But what is happening substantially is a war between Israel against Hamas, against Hezbollah, and against Palestinians, and now against Lebanese, because the victims are the civilians.
Yeah. Okay, Luis Moreno Ocampo, thank you very much indeed, a founding prosecutor for the International Criminal Court. And let's go live now to Beirut and speak about these attacks to the BBC Arabic's Rami Rahayem, who's there for us. Rami, just give us a sense of the mood there. There must be so much fear that there are going to be more attacks on the streets.
Well, I think the mood has shifted. Of course, there was a lot of chaos, fear, confusion, terror, widespread terror yesterday when the second wave of explosions began, and people realized that there's basically another day of very mysterious attack, very widespread also across the south, the Beqa in the east, and Beirut. Today, it seems more like the country is back to a certain sense of normality. There's a belief, it seems, that the attack was, the Israelis managed somehow to rig these devices, these batches of pagers on Tuesday and then walkie-talkies which exploded on Wednesday, and that it's not a cyber attack. Now, if that is true, then that means that horrific as these attacks were, people are over this fear, this sense that anything could explode anywhere. It's not that. It's certain batches which came into Lebanon, which were rigged by the Israelis before they entered the country and were set off. That said, people are still trying to analyze and understand, especially experts, to understand exactly how these attacks happen, these unprecedented attacks, which are, of course, widely being described here as terrorist attacks, as war crimes. These attacks which basically set off panic, very widespread panic, and in civilian areas, in shops, inside people's homes. 2 children were killed, many children were among those wounded, many elderly people also were among those wounded. Attention now is also beginning to shift to the front between Hezbollah and Israel. Hezbollah has said it will resume its operations, what it calls its support front for Gaza, and it has resumed its attacks on Israeli positions. It has also vowed to retaliate separately from that support front to these attacks, which it and the Lebanese government has blamed on Israel. Today they've sent drones across the border. These drones managed to slip through undetected without the sirens sounding, and they seem to have achieved hits against Israeli positions. All eyes on that front, and also everybody is awaiting the speech of Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah later today.
Okay, Rami, thank you very much indeed. There is actually a news conference with the Lebanese Health Minister, which is going on right now. So we'll bring you details from that in terms of any updates on the number of casualties. Rami was just outlining for us 32 dead so far, thousands of injured, and some of the casualties have been children and the elderly as well. So we'll bring you more on that as we get it.